What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the S23 Plus versus the Pixel 7 Pro. Had a lot of people, curious about this comparison because they want to know which phone is going to age better and which phone has the better camera. So I do want to talk about that and just the pros and cons of each phone here. And I do want to briefly talk about the price because the Pixel should be a little bit cheaper. The S23 Plus, it's trending online, used refurbished marketplace, $319. So the Pixel should be about $239. Now you can spend a little bit more and go with the higher configuration version, but the S23 Plus starts at 256 gigs for the base model as well too. So it just depends on how you want to look at this, how much space you need. But the Pixel will come in a little bit cheaper. And hardware-wise, I think still looks great. Both phones are aging very well hardware-wise. And I think as far as which phone feels more comfortable, for me personally, I think the S23 just feels a little bit more comfortable. It's a bit of a smaller device. So it's just something that, I really like. But the camera designs look pretty good on both. You have a glossy finish, but on this white color, you can't really see fingerprints. And it's the same thing for the S23 Plus. You can't see fingerprints because we have a matte finish on here. And I think both phones look really great. I think they have aged very, very well. And they're both IP68 dust and water resistant. And the Pixel coming in at 212 grams with the S23 coming in at 196. So they kind of weigh about the same. They feel about the same. Honestly. So which phone has the better display? So let's talk about these specs real quick. The S23 at 6.6 inches. It is a completely flat panel, which a lot of people, pretty much prefer these days. It is dynamic AMOLED, 120 Hz, HDR10 plus, 1750 nits, peak brightness. And then we also have a 1080p display, 393 for the PPI with the Victus 2 glass. The Pixel 7 has an AMOLED display as well too at 6.7 inches, so it's a little bit bigger and it is a curved panel. And then we also do have HDR10 plus, 1500 nits peak brightness, and then we also do have 1440p display at 512 for the PPI. The colors and just everything looks really great. Me personally, both displays are great, but I do really prefer the flat displays these days. But I think the Pixel display looks really good, and honestly, if we because we have a 1440p display, it is gonna look a little bit cleaner when you come up really close. But at this distance, like a normal distance, it's extremely hard to tell the difference. But yeah, it is a little bit sharper, so you can watch 1440p content on your phone. But like I said, you have to be like super close up. But yeah, you have a higher resolution display, but I do like the colors on the S23 Plus. I do like that it has also slimmer bezels as well too, as you guys can see. So I just think it's aging a little bit better. It looks a lot more aesthetically, pleasing. But yeah, you can't really go wrong with both panels here. And also the S23, it is just a little bit brighter outdoors. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Me personally, I'm going with the S23 Plus here. All right, so let's talk about the software and performance here. So you got Android. It launched with Android 13, the Pixel 7, and currently on Android 16, and it got a 5-year pledge. So they added more updates to the Pixel 7 Pro, which is really cool. It has the Tensor G2 processor, 128 gigs of internal storage, and 12 gigs of RAM on this model here. And then with the S23 Plus, it launched with Android 13 as well. It got 4 years majorOS updates. It just One UI 8 just recently came out. We have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, 256 gigs and 8 gigs of RAM on this base model here. As you guys can see, the score difference here, I would say if you're trying to get the most power out of your phone, the most like gaming performance, you want video rendering times to be better. And just overall chip efficiency is a lot better with the Snapdragon chipset. It's going to perform a lot better in benchmarks, as you guys can see as well too, and with gaming performance as well. All right, so here's the thing: the Pixel is extremely smooth, guys. It is very smooth, like animation wise and everything like that. Like, it's just buttery smooth, like scrolling and Android 16 animations. Now, of course, it's going to come down to personal preference on whether you prefer One UI. One UI is highly advanced when it comes to customization and when you put good lock on your phone and stuff like that. And it just depends, right? You got desktop support, but some people, you know, you might not use that, but yeah, I do really like Android 16, and just the animations look really, really good, guys. So yeah, of course the Tensor chip is not going to be that great when it comes to gaming performance and, you know, just doing like a lot of heavier stuff. A lot of complaints about the Tensor chipset is that it can overheat when you're just doing a little bit more intensive stuff, recording a lot of video. Now, I will say with these updates, I've never had an issue. When this phone first launched, I was getting heat warnings if I was recording outside. But ever since like I would say around Android 15, like this phone has not had a performance problem. It's gotten better with standby time, and it's just as fast and smooth as the S23 Plus. But it's just not going to be able to keep up when it comes to gaming performance, of course. But I would say just daily use, I mean, it feels smooth. I would argue that it just feels smoother than even the S23 Plus. I've always been a big fan of like stock Android, but for some reason these older Pixel phones, the Pixel 6 Pro and the 7 Pro, they just feel extremely smooth. I think it's got something to do with this glass, because even the Pixel 8 Pro and 9 don't necessarily feel like this buttery smooth. So it is really weird. But yeah, so let's go ahead and launch PUBG here. Alright guys, for example, PUBG, like I said, it runs fine on the Pixel, but you're going to be limited to like 60 frames. And again, for everyone who is gaming, you know, trying to do a little bit of competitive gaming on a budget, then you're going to go with the S23 Plus. And it's going to be the same if you like to play emulators on your phone and stuff like that. It's just the Snapdragon chipset is just much better optimized and a much more powerful, you know, processor here. You can see we can still play at 120 frames on the S23 Plus, buttery smooth, and we won't really run into those heating issues on the S23 Plus here. So, and also the cool thing about the S23 series in general, it's the Snapdragon version globally. So sometimes they'll launch it with Exynos models, but it's global. So wherever you are, you know, you'll just get better performance. So yeah, that's my opinion on, you know, the performance. The performance is really good on the Pixel 7 Pro. It's gotten a lot better actually. Let's check out these speakers. We are at max volume. So I would say the speakers are pretty good on both. They both have, you know, are very similar in terms of volume. Where I hear the difference is you can hear the low notes on the Pixel a lot better than on the S23 Plus. So I would say the bass quality is a lot better on the Pixel just because it's just a little bit more well balanced, where the bass almost kind of fades away on the S23 Plus. Yeah, it just gets really quiet on the low note. Yeah, you can hear it. So I think the Pixel speaker actually, it just sounds a little bit better. It's a little bit more well balanced and fuller sounding. Now the S23 does have an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, and it's a lot faster than the Pixel's optical fingerprint sensor by far. Which this one is not bad at all. I think again it's improved a lot since launch. But that's the difference between like these optical ones. You gotta just hold them a little bit. Like I said, it's not an actual big deal. Most people, you probably won't notice it, but you can just lightly kind of tap these. Talk about camera performance. Which phone has the better cameras? The Pixel 7 Pro has a 50 megapixel standard, 48 megapixel periscope telephoto with 5 times optical zoom. It will get you up to 30 times max zoom. You also have a 12 megapixel ultra wide. We can shoot in 4K 60. 10.8 megapixel selfie can also shoot in 4K 60. The S23 has a 50 megapixel standard, 10 megapixel telephoto lens with 3 times optical. That'll also get you up to 30 times zoom. And then we also have a 12 megapixel ultra wide, 8K 24 and 30 video, and then a 12 megapixel selfie. that shoots in 4K 60 as well. So if you are looking for the phone with the better battery life, it's the S23 Plus by far. And this is mostly, again, due to chip efficiency. Even though this phone has a smaller battery at 4,700 milliamps versus the 5,000 milliamps on the Pixel, the S23 is going to last a lot longer when it comes to standby time. And if you're doing more intensive stuff on your phone, it won't drain as fast as the Pixel as well too. I would say for lighter users, you could definitely get away with, you know, getting a full day out of the Pixel. But for those days where you're going to be a little bit heavier on your phone, then the S23 Plus, in my opinion, is a lot better. Standby time is also a lot better on the S23 Plus by far. And yeah, so that's kind of my opinion on the battery life. You have 23 watt charging on the Pixel, which isn't really that fast. That was kind of like my biggest thing. This phone kind of charges slow. And you also do have a reverse wireless charging on here, 23 watt wireless charging as well. The S23 Plus charges 45 watts, so it does charge up a lot faster to me. Like the Pixel, it charges noticeably slow these days. And then you also have 15 watt wireless charging with reverse wireless charging as well. So I would say it really comes down to what you kind of thought about the cameras, and also, stock Android versus One UI. It really depends how you feel about that. But yeah, and also the chipset, whether you're a gamer or not. I think the S23, I would say if you're not impressed with the camera of the Pixel 7 Pro, I would go with the S23. I think is the safer buy for longevity.